This week on Dak and Jew, we are doing a special back to school edition. Fall. Fabulous fall. And our wonderful friends at Bellewood Acres up north in Bellingham gave us a bunch of apples to make these with. So like, hello, is that not the biggest honeycrisp you've ever seen?
So, as always, we are using Kate Lebo's recipe for both the crust and the filling. Why reinvent the wheel? This is just her classic all butter pie crust with apple filling. What we're gonna do is just start simultaneously slicing the apples nice and thinly. We're not going to peel them. You can. We're just not going to because
Not worth it.
we're lazy.
This recipe recommends that you use a combination of different kinds of apples. So you have a whole list, which we'll put on the recipe online.
So I'm going to immediately pour a little bit of lemon juice. I just squeezed it from a lemon.
Surprise. Best tools ever invented.
What? Hands?
Hands. All right, so the other thing that's special about this apple pie recipe is that it's not all apple. There's a pear. And preferably a nice, ripe, juicy pear.
So I'm just going to add a pinch of salt.
I think a hearty pinch is good to balance sweetness.
I love a hearty pinch.
I love a good hearty pinch.
This one's just for looks.
So our lemon juice is in here, our salt is in here, our apples are in here, our pear's in here. Now we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg.
Julie is just grating this fresh from its little nub, but you can also just use ground as well.
All right, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon.
And last but not least, we're doing 3/4 cup of sugar. Ultimately, the great thing about pie is that at this stage, you can do whatever you want to it. Truly.
I think this is really good.
So good.
Okay, so we're just gonna let these sit for a little bit, let their juices kind of emerge and flavors, I don't know.
So we just took our dough ball out of the fridge. It's been in the fridge for about an hour. It's nice and chilled.
It looks beautiful.
We're gonna cut it in half, wrap up the other side, and put this back in the fridge. We wanna keep this as cold as possible.
It's just so beautiful. It's the most beautiful crust.
It's so good, so nice. So I'm rolling it out to be, you can kind of measure it this way, roughly round, you know, it's not perfect, and make sure there's enough, just have a little edge.
Put it just folding this into quarters, kind of like a little triangle, and placing it into the dish and then unfolding it. It's just a really easy way to transfer your dough so you're not trying to like scoop up the dough like this and carry it across the counter.
And then fit it into this back plate.
Great. And then this is gonna go in the fridge while we're rolling out the top crust. Okay, so we've rolled out the top crust. Now, instead of just laying this on top like you would do with a normal pie, I'm going to do a lattice top because I love them so much. And I think people are intimidated by them, and there's no need to be. My kind of like signature it's a look, is I do really wide lattices. Sometimes you see them where they're like really, really thin, but I think the wide lattice is easier if you're starting out or you're new to doing this at all.
I usually French braid mine, so.
Okay, so I'm just gonna cut like probably like pieces about this wide.
So quickly before we transfer, we're going to put 3 tablespoons of flour.
And this just kind of helps soak up some of those juices so that we want a juicy pie, but we don't want like an explosion of apple juice coming out when we cut into that.
So now we have all of our ingredients in our filling, and we're going to pour it in here.
If you do have juices on the bottom of the bowl, pour them on top once you've added all the apples into the bottom crust.
Ooh.
Dakota's gonna cut about 2 tablespoons of butter into little chunks. We're just gonna dot them around the top of this.
It's going to combine with the flour and help thicken it as well.
Science.
Science.
So the way that I like to do this, you kind of get to experiment and see what works best for you. But I usually take like my biggest, longest piece and just kind of place it across the middle. And then I work my way from there. So these little pieces that were the outside of your circle, I usually save those for the outside edges because they're smaller pieces. And I'm gonna take like my second biggest piece and I'm gonna lay it across here. And this one, I'm also probably gonna go, I'll probably put this one here. Someone who's really good at this is probably like heathen to me doing this. All right, I'll probably put this one under this one, over this one. Ding, 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 ding. This one's gonna go over here.
So I'm just gonna trim the edges slightly if they're hanging over by a lot. Julie's gonna eat it. I was gonna say you can tuck it in places where it needs a little help.
Okay. No, it's fine. No, you need that. You need that. I don't want it now. It's just going under.
Going down under. This one needs a little bulking. Coming in for backup.
Oh my God.
Okay, so now it's all tucked under. It's crimp time.
Crimp time.
What you're gonna do is take these 2 fingers and this finger, or at least this is the way I do it, I think. All right?
She's looking good. She's looking real good.
Who, me?
Yes, you. All right. We are going to brush it. Sometimes we do an egg wash, but right now we have buttermilk on hand and we want to get rid of it. So we're going to do a buttermilk wash. And that just does the same thing as an egg wash, just kind of helps the whole thing get nice and golden and beautiful in the oven.
I'm sprinkling with a little bit of turbinado sugar to make it nice and crunchy.
Our oven is preheated to 425 and it's gonna go in for about 15 minutes until the crust gets kind of blistered and it gets most of its golden color during this first 15 minutes. And then we're gonna reduce the heat and cook it.
Wow. Role reversal. You have the tiny bite and I have the big bite.
Why would you do that to yourself? Dakota, look at the steam that's coming off of that.
Wait, cheers.
I'm scared.
Fun. Oh my God.
I mean, there's nothing better than like a real apple pie. Why do you think that is?
This is so good.
It's so good. Like just the right amount of sweetness in the crust.
Oh yeah.
Also, the insides are like aromatic and spiced, but again, not overly sweet, which I always appreciate.
Yeah. No cloying gelatinous goo.
Heavens.
Denny's.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.